In the last couple videos, we looked at multiple ways that we can render HTML using Express. We passed some HTML into response.send, but obviously that was not ideal. It's a real pain to write your markup in a string. We also created a public directory where we can have our static HTML files like our help file, and we can serve these up to the browser. Both of those work great, but there is a third solution, and that's going to be the topic in this video. That is a templating engine. A templating engine is going to let you render HTML, but do it in a dynamic way, where you can inject values like a username or the current date inside of the template, kind of like you would in Ruby or PHP. Using this templating engine, you're also going to be able to create reusable markup for things like a header or a footer, which is going to be the same on a lot of your pages. This templating engine, Handlebars, is going to be the topic of this video and the next, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is install this module. This is a Handlebars view engine for Express. Now, there are a ton of other view engines for Express, for example, EJS or Pug. I'm going with Handlebars because I like its syntax the best. It's a great way to get started. Now, I want to show you a few things inside of the browser. First up, we are going to go to handlebars.js.com. This is the documentation for Handlebars. It shows you exactly how to use all of its features. So if you want to use anything we don't cover inside of the course, you can always go here to learn how to use it. Now, the thing we're going to be installing is actually a module that's a wrapper around Handlebars. It's going to let us use it as an Express view engine. To view this, we're going to go to npmjs.com/package/ and the package name is HBS. And this is the URL structure for all packages. So if you ever want to find a packages page, you simply type npmjs.com/package/ the package name. This module is pretty popular. It's a really great view engine. They have a lot of documentation. I just want to let you know this exists as well. Now we can go ahead and install it and integrate it into our application. Over in the terminal, I'm going to install HBS using npm install. The module name is HBS, and the most recent version is at 4.0.0, and I will be using the save flag to update package.json. Now, actually configuring Express to use this Handlebars view engine is super simple. All we have to do is import it and add one statement to our Express configuration. Over inside of Atom, we're going to do just that. Inside of Atom, let's get started by loading in Handlebars, const HBS equals require HBS. And from here, we can go ahead and add that one line. Right above where I call app.use for Express static, I'm going to call app.set. This lets us set some various Express-related configurations. There's a lot of built-in ones. We'll be talking about more of them later. For now, though, what we're going to do is pass in a key-value pair, where the key is the thing you want to set and the value is the value you want to use. Here, the key we're setting is view engine. This is going to tell Express what view engine we'd like to use, and we're going to pass in, inside of quotes, HBS. Perfect. And that is all we need to do to get started. Now, in order to create our very first template, what I'd like to do is make a directory in the project called views. Views is the default directory that Express uses for your templates. So what we're going to do is add this, and then we'll add a template inside of it. We got a directory called views, and inside of views, we're going to go ahead and make a template for our about page. Right here, a new file, and the file name is going to be whatever you'd like, in this case, about.hbs. This Handlebars extension is important. Make sure to include it. And Atom already knows how to parse HBS files. Down below, where it shows the current language it's using, it says it's using HTML, in parentheses, mustache. Mustache is used as the name for this type of Handlebars syntax because when you type these curly braces, I guess they kind of look like mustaches. What we're going to do to get started, though, is take the contents of help.html and copy it directly. I'm going to copy this file so we don't have to rewrite that boilerplate, and we'll paste it right in here. Now we can go ahead and try to render this page. I am going to change the H1 from help page to about page. We'll talk about how to dynamically render stuff inside here in just a second. What I'd like to do at first is just get this rendering. Over inside of server.js, we already have a root for /about, which means we can go ahead and render our HBS template instead of sending back this about page string. I'm going to go ahead and remove our call to res.send, and we're going to replace it with res.render. Render is going to let you render any of the templates you have set up with your current Vue engine. Right here, I do indeed have my about template, and I can pass that name, about.hbs, in as the first and only argument. We're going to render about.hbs. Perfect. Now we are done. This is going to be enough to get that static page rendering. I'm going to go ahead and save server.js, and over in the terminal, I'll clear the output, and I'm going to run our server using nodemon server.js. Once the server is up and running, here it is on port 3000, we can go ahead and open up this /about URL and see what we get. I'm going to head into Chrome, close some tabs, and open up localhost 3000 /about. And when I do that, what do I get? I get my about page rendered just like you'd expected. We had an H1 tag, which shows up nice and big, and we have our paragraph tag, which shows up below. So far, we have used HBS, but we haven't actually used any of its features. Right now, we're rendering a dynamic page, so we might as well have not even included it. What I want to do is talk about how we can inject data inside of our templates. Let's come up with some things that we want to make dynamic inside of our handlebars file. First up, we're going to go ahead and make this H1 tag dynamic, so the page name gets passed into the template, and we're also going to add a footer. For now, we'll just make that a simple footer tag. Inside of the footer, we're going to go ahead and add a paragraph. And that paragraph is going to have the copyright for our website. We'll just say something like copyright, followed by the year, which is 2016. Now this year should also be dynamic, so as the years change, we don't have to manually update our markup. We're going to go ahead and look at how to make both the 2016 and the about page dynamic, which means they're getting passed in instead of being typed right in the handlebars file. In order to do this, we're going to have to do two things. We're going to have to pass some data into the template. This is going to be an object, a set of key value pairs, and we're going to have to learn how to pull off some of those key value pairs inside of our handlebars file. Passing in data is pretty simple. All you have to do is specify a second argument to res.render. This is going to take an object, and on this object, you can specify whatever you like. I might have a page title that gets set equal to about page. There we go. We have one piece of data getting injected in the template. It's not used yet, but it is indeed getting injected. We can also add another one, like the current year. I'm going to put the current year right here, and I'm going to set current year equal to the actual year off of the date JavaScript constructor. This is going to look something like this. We're going to create a new date, which makes a new instance of the date object. Then we're going to use a method called getFullYear, which returns the year. In this case, it would return 2016, just like this. Dot get full year. And now we have a page title and a current year. These are both getting passed in, and we can go ahead and use them. In order to use these pieces of data, what we have to do inside of our template is use that handlebars syntax, which looks a little bit like this. You start by opening up two curly braces, then you close two curly braces. And you can see that Adam actually picked up on it automatically, and I didn't even need to type the closing brace. Inside of here, you can reference any of the props you passed in. In this case, I'm going to use page title here, page, uppercase T title, and down below, inside of our copyright paragraph, I'm going to go ahead and use, inside of double curly braces, current year. And with this in place, we now have two pieces of dynamic data getting injected inside of our application. Now, nodemon should have restarted in the background, so there's no need to manually do anything there. And when I refresh the page, we do still get about page, which is great. This is coming from the data we defined in server.js, and we get copyright 2016 showing up. This is fantastic. Well, this web page is pretty simple and doesn't look that interesting. At least you know how to create those servers and inject that data inside of your web page. All you'd have to do from here is add some custom styles to get things looking nice. Before we go ahead and get into the challenge, I'm going to go ahead and move into the about file and swap out that title, Currently it says help page. That's left over from the public folder. I'm going to change it to some website. Awesome. Now that we have this in place, I'm going to go ahead and give you your challenge, which is going to be to create a brand new template. And that template is going to get rendered when someone visits the root of our website, the /route. Now, currently we render some JSON data. What I want you to do is replace this with a call to response.render, rendering a brand new view home.hbs. Now, this template doesn't exist. You can duplicate the about.hbs file, renaming it to home.hbs. Now, inside of home.hbs, you're going to have the same h1. You're also going to have your footer, and you're going to have a new property, welcome message, which needs to get rendered inside of a paragraph tag. Now, the about page is not going to support welcome message, but the home page is going to need to, which means aside from these two props that get passed into render, you're also going to need to pass in a third one, welcome message, and you can set it to whatever you like. When you're done, you should be able to visit that page in the browser. You should see your page title, which should be something like homepage, your welcome message, set that equal to whatever you like, and the copyright showing up. That's all going to be available at just the root of the website, localhost 3000. So take a moment to knock all of that out, test it, and when you're done and you do see things rendering when you visit the root of the website, you can go ahead and click play. How'd you do? Hopefully you didn't have too much trouble creating that template and getting it to render. To get started, I'm going to duplicate the about.js file so we can start customizing it for our needs. Duplicate, and I'll call this one home.hbs. Now from here, most things are going to stay the same. We're going to keep the page title in place. We're also going to keep the copyright and footer down below. What I do want to change though is this paragraph. It was fine that the about page had a static one, but for the home page, we're going to set it equal to, inside of curly braces, the welcome message property. Now welcome message is only going to be available on home.hbs, which is why I'm specifying it here, but not here. Next up, you needed to call response.render inside of the callback. This is going to let us actually render that page. Response.render, passing in the template name we want to render. This one is called home.hbs. Then we're going to pass in our data. Now to get started, we can go ahead and pass in the page title. I'm going to set this equal to homepage, and we'll pass in some sort of generic welcome message. Welcome to my website. Really great user experience there. And then we're going to pass in the current year. And we already know how to fetch the current year, new date. And on the date object, we're going to call that get full year method. .get full year. Perfect. With this in place, all you needed to do was save the file, which is automatically going to restart the server using NodeMon and refresh the browser. When I do that, what do I get? I get my homepage title, my welcome to my website message, and my copyright with the year 2016 right here. And if I go to /about, everything still looks great. We have our dynamic page title and copyright, and we have our static some text here text. With this in place, we are now done with the very basics of handlebars. Hopefully you see how this can be useful inside of a real-world web app. Aside from a realistic example like the copyright, other reasons you might use this is to inject some sort of dynamic user data, things like a username, an email, or anything else. Now that you have a basic understanding about how to use handlebars to create static pages, we're going to go ahead and look at some more advanced features of HBS inside of the next video. I'm super excited to get to it because it's going to be really fantastic stuff, so stay tuned. I'll see you soon.